Ghazghkull Mak Uruk Thraka isn't a Margaret Thatcher reference. Not at all. Andy Chambers himself came out and spoke and said that basically this is the name his group came up with during a Lord of the Rings LARP, and it's supposed to mean big, strong orc leader, something like that. Yeah, something like that. You might have it on screen. Since we have that out of the way, there are still people that don't believe this and are easy to dismiss. And here's how we're gonna do it. If you still believe Ghazghkull Mak Uruk Thraka is a Margaret Thatcher reference, then let's put it to the test. Here it is. We'll just focus on the Mag Uruk Thraka part and not the Ghazghkull part, because that really doesn't help your argument. So we'll just stick on this. Mag Uruk Thraka. Now let's say it, the name of the Iron Lady, yeah? Margaret Thatcher. Okay, we're already seeing a little bit of an interesting thing. For example, Thatcher and Thraka are not the same. Because you have Thatcher and then you have Thraka. It's even the way your mouth moves and the way how Thraka comes more from the throat than it comes from your tongue. Like Thatcher. See, it's a little bit rolled with that R at the end. Thraka. It's not really that rolled, it's more like spit out. It's coming from the throat. Okay, but now let's look at the other part. Her name is Margaret, after all. Margaret. Mag Uruk. Mag Uruk. Does that sound in any way close to Margaret? Mag Uruk. Margaret. Mag Uruk Thraka. Margaret Thatcher. Mag Uruk Thraka. Margaret Thatcher. I'm sorry, but if you have ears, even the bastardized way I'm saying this is not helping at all. It is a bad argument to bring up, let's be honest. And it's a myth that somehow continue being spewed, and it's ridiculous at this point. Okay. There's a difference between Margaret and Mag Uruk. But you know what? Let's do it like this. We have Margaret Thatcher, yeah? Let's see how it works, because usually with orcs, when you speak, the faster you do it, the more interesting it comes out. Like, if you repeat Gorka Morka enough in Orcish, you get Gorka Morka. So let's do it this way. I will make a fool out of myself and repeat Mag Uruk Thraka until it reach somewhere. So let's see how it goes. Mag Uruk Thraka, Mag Uruk Thraka, Mag Uruk Thraka, Mag Uruk Thraka, Mag Uruk Thraka. You have to bastardize the way you say it so much to even get a hint of Margaret Thatcher. Besides the point that the Thatcher and the Thraka part don't mix at all. The only thing that really makes this close to Margaret Thatcher is the Mag part, the Mag part. Margaret. Mag. Which, by the way, Mag kind of gets rid of that R there, if I'm correct. And I am. The Mag part doesn't make any sense because her name is Margaret. Mag Uruk doesn't even sound like Margaret. But I'll do it again. Mag Uruk Thraka, Mag Uruk Thraka, Mag Uruk Thraka, Mag Uruk Thraka, Mag Uruk Thraka. Margaret Thatcher, Margaret Thatcher, Margaret Thatcher, Margaret Thatcher. At this point, it's hard for me to say Margaret Thatcher so much. You see where I'm going with this? Not only is it proven by the creator of Warhammer that it doesn't work, it's not that, but also the way you say it doesn't help it. At the end of the day, it doesn't help it. Look at this. Mag Uruk Thraka, Margaret Thatcher. Mag Uruk Thraka, Margaret Thatcher. You're seeing where I'm going with this? They don't sound at all in any form or way. Even if we just focus on the Mag part. Nope, it doesn't. Mag Uruk doesn't make any sense. Mag Uruk. That's more like an insult. It feels like I'm calling somebody, like I know German. It's not even Margaret. Margaret. Now I'm calling out Margaret. And now I'm calling Mag Uruk. It even sounds weird when you're trying to say it like they're calling them. Margaret, Mag Uruk. It doesn't sound the same. It's not even the fact that we have the creator saying that. Not even the words sound the same. And people refuse to see it. Now, of course, this could be explained through the xenophobic, of course, explanation that this is how the British creators made fun of their own language and accents somehow, which doesn't make that much sense, but it makes sense when you look at it from a more Anglophone way or anglicized way. Americans and the other nations that don't have the British accent, and how they make fun of the British for saying "boa wa" or something like that. But of course, I have learned the lesson. Never attribute to evil what you can explain with ignorance. Sometimes ignorance is a good explanation, and evil is the answer. But it's not the evil that, they're just making fun of British people. No, it's the evil that they refuse to do it because, it looks better for you if you make fun of the people you disagree with politically like that. So yeah, people that just spout this, that Ghazghkull mag uruk Thraka is somehow a parody or something related to Margaret Thatcher, are probably doing it because they have an agenda behind it. But you know what? I spent like 6 minutes talking about this. Let me give you a good way to bring her into the world, yeah? You have an inquisitor. Let's say a radical inquisitor, whose first name is Margaret something. The second name is kept closed. We don't know her surname. But she is often referred by the other Inquisitor members and by her own lackeys as the Iron Lady, for how brutal she is. Dedicated, whatever you want. You see, that's a Margaret Thatcher reference. You know what's not a Margaret Thatcher reference? Mag uruk Thraka. And let's do it like this. If his name wasn't Ghazghkull, if he was a woman, and if his name was something along the lines of Margaret Thatcher, which sounds kind of funny, but still, then you could probably say it is a reference to Margaret Thatcher. But from what I know, and honestly, I know a little, there is no similarity between Margaret Thatcher and Ghazghkull, mag uruk Thraka. There is none. In fact, people paint Margaret Thatcher as this evil person that's as bad as Hitler. And quite frankly, there's nothing really that makes a connection, from what little I know, between Margaret Thatcher and Ghazghkull. Not from their actions, and the fact that people hate Margaret Thatcher and Ghazghkull mag uruk Thraka is one of the cooler Xenos alongside Farsight. Two other things I must touch upon is, one, Ghazghkull is not known as the Iron Orc, but the prophet of the Wa, the Green Wa, the prophet of Gork and Mork, or the Beast of Armageddon. Besides the Iron Orcs in Warhammer Fantasy, I don't really think there's another Iron Orc or a war boss with that name. But that's not all. The second thing I want to touch upon is that somebody made a pretty interesting thing. I found this on Reddit, and somebody that broke down the black speech of the orcs in Tolkien's things to get a more sense of Ghazghkull's name and what it could mean. Now, technically, from Andy Chambers' own words, it means metalhead, strong orc leader. But this Redditor modified it in an interesting way that if you look at it, you will see that you can say Ghazghkull's name as Ghazghkull magas uruk Thraka, which technically is the fiery tall one driven to bring forth the orcs, which is fitting for the prophet of Gork and Mork. That's all. Insert shilling, like, comment, subscribe, share. I hope you liked it, and I'll see you in the next one.